You're still watching the Afia Business Morning. Welcome to Global Business, where we do take a look at business news stories around the continent of Africa and indeed the rest of the world. My name is Ubong Kings, and here are the headlines making the rounds. And we'd like to start off in Africa, where it's reported that electric vehicle manufacturing has shown signs of promise in Africa. And outside Africa, Australia accuses China of backing hackers. And still from outside Africa and from of course the global economy, China panics over cooking oil sent in chemical tanks. We will bring you details of these news stories and more right after this break. Please stay. You're watching Global Business right here on the Afia Business Morning, and we begin from Africa, where it's reported that Kenyan President William Ruto will have to give up on his goal of a balanced budget by 2027 after an unprecedented revolt against his tax measures. Kenya's government is mulling its next steps after a furious nationwide protest against Ruto's finance bill sparked a violent response, leading to deaths of at least 39 people. The president is caught between a rock and a hard place, given that he must meet loan obligations, fulfill IMF conditionalities, keep his cabinet happy, and appease furious protesters. Although in a statement on the 26th of June, Ruto already said that he had declined to sign the controversial Finance Bill 2024, which threw aggressive taxation on basic goods, including cooking oil and baby nappies, would have brought an estimated annual $2.4 billion increase into government revenue. Now, there's a few things I just want to touch on very quickly before we get into something else. Now, first is the fact that this is a sound development in Kenya at the moment. Yes, everybody agrees, yes, it's a sound development. And of course, we already have angry youths taking to the streets, and quite a number of other things happening, and mayhem is being caused here, there, and everywhere else. And a lot of persons are calling for resignations. But then let's take a look at this particular insert that was, of course, is authored by the deputy Kenyan president, who did, speak a whole lot about this incident. Let's take a look at this, and when we come back, we'll continue. Please stay.
We have lost lives, property destroyed, anarchy, fear, uncertainty. How did we get here? How did we get here? Where did the rain begin to beat us? Where did we stop listening to the people? It is clear there has been a failure in the intelligence and advice we are receiving, particularly concerning crucial government policies. Had he known 2 months ago that the people of Kenya did not want anything to do with the Finance Bill 2024, he would not have asked his parliamentary party to push it through. Yet, we have an organization paid by the public to give him and government such information. And that is where the problem is. We have a dysfunctional National Intelligence Service that has exposed the president, the government, and the people of Kenya. Had the National Intelligence Service briefed the president 2 months ago about how the people of Kenya feel about the Finance Bill 2024, so many Kenyans would not have died. Senior officers have told me in confidence they did not have an advance intelligence brief about the intensity of the protest so that they prepare in advance. The National Intelligence Service slept.
Yes, indeed. We'll keep you updated on these developments happening in Kenya. And it just shows quite a lot of things, brings a lot of things to the fore, the place where the people actually have a voice. But then, moving on, and still talking more business news stories from Africa and from the automobile world, where it's reported that Ampersand, which currently operates in Rwanda and Kenya, is one of several companies seeking to kickstart the nascent market for electric vehicles in Africa, where it has about 3,000 electric bikes on the road, which under the agreement with BYD will purchase Chinese battery cells to build around 40,000 electric motorcycles by the end of 2026. Moreover, electric buses are also being deployed in several cities, though a significant market for four-wheeled cars is widely thought to remain several years away. Meanwhile, in the factory outside Kigali, dozens of workers are putting the finishing touches to electric motorcycles that will soon take to the streets of the Rwandan capital. The bikes built by startup Ampersand are destined mainly for motorcycle taxi operators and delivery drivers who can make significant savings by using battery-powered vehicles rather than paying for petrol or diesel. Now, this to me is a super duper exciting story. You know why? And this further calms my nerves in a whole different dimension, because this is in relation to where Africa is in the place of electric vehicles manufacturing. Now, did you also notice the countries pioneering this electric vehicle drive in Africa? Exactly. Even though they are starting with motorcycles, yes, but at least it's somewhere to start with, isn't it? Kenya, the same Kenya we just talked about some few minutes ago, and Rwanda. Now, question I want to ask is, where is Nigeria in all of this? Yet we have capacity to do these things. Also worthy of note is the target. These bikes are designed or targeted at mainly persons, motorcycle, okay, of course, motorcycle operators. That's people who drive bike, basically, and delivery drivers. And this is, to me, this is huge marketing sense. It makes a whole lot of huge marketing sense, because clearly, who are the persons who need these bikes really? You notice almost every delivery person owns a bike. Just check on, you see. Now, and the aim of this is simple, is to make significant savings by using battery-powered vehicles rather than paying for petrol or diesel. Well, this is great stuff, and I think asks again, where is Nigeria in all of this? I rest my case and I move on to other stories making the rounds, and this time around, still from the automobile world, it's reported that China's new energy vehicle (NEV) exports grew at a slower pace in June due to the European Union's new tariffs on Chinese electric vehicle imports. However, according to industry officials, this impact may only be temporary. Rather, exports of China's NEVs, including pure electric vehicles and plug-in hybrid cars, fell by 15.2% in June compared with May, although they still rose by 12.3% year-on-year. Jiu Dongwishu, who happened to be the Secretary General of the CPCA, stated that China's NEV exports faced temporary pressure, with export growth dropping to just above 10% from the previous annual range of 30% to 40%. He further indicated that the European Union's new tariffs had a significant impact on exports. And according to the report, exports of China-made Tesla EVs to the EU fell to their lowest level since the third quarter of 2022, when production of Tesla's Shanghai factory was halted due to COVID-19 restrictions. The EU is the largest export market for China-made Tesla electric vehicles, accounting for a 9.1% market share in Europe in January, according to EVvolumes.com. And well, this is pretty anticipated, and just as anticipated, the European Union's new tariffs did have a significant impact on exports from China, as China's NEV exports face temporary pressure, with, of course, just like the report, they say with export growth dropping just above 10% from the previous annual range. And that notwithstanding, this is the part I like, that notwithstanding, exports still rose by 12.3% year on year. However, according to industry officials, this impact may only be temporary, but then fingers crossed, and we'll keep you updated as this unfolds. Recall also that the European Union is the largest export market for China-made Tesla electric vehicles, accounting for about 9.1% market share in Europe in January alone. And of course, the need for a symbiotic, the truth of the matter is there is a huge need for a symbiotic relationship between the European Union and China. This is super expected because they both need each other. That's the truth of the matter. I rest my case, and you're watching the Global Business right here on Afia Business Morning on Afia TV. You may want to kindly join in this conversation and more on our new Afia Business YouTube channel. Kindly type in the search bar www.youtube.com/@Afia Business. While you're there, do well to hit the like button and subscribe for notifications on all business related content coming to you from Afia TV. Coming up next will be more business news stories from the rest of the world right after this break. Stay tuned. You're welcome back to the Afia Business Morning right here on Afia TV, and you're still watching Global Business. And now we're moving on to the rest of our stories. And this time we're moving on to into Australia now, where it's reported that Australia's government cybersecurity agency has accused a China-backed hacker group of stealing passwords and usernames from 2 unnamed Australian networks in 2022, adding that the group remained a threat. A joint report led by the Australian Cybersecurity Centre said the hackers named Apt40 had conducted malicious cyber operations for China's Ministry of State Security, the main agency overlooking foreign intelligence. The Defense Minister Richard Marles had said in a statement released to the media that the Australian government is committed to defending Australian organizations and individuals in the cyber domain, which is why, for the first time, they are leading this type of cyber attribution. Furthermore, this report comes as both Australia and China are rebuilding ties after a period of strained relations. Their ties hit a low in 2020 after Canberra called for an independent investigation into the origin of COVID-19. Beijing responded by imposing tariffs on several Australian commodities, most of which have been lifted at the moment. Well, just so you know, this story to me is pretty incredibly interesting. You know why? Frankly, I see a show of economic power playing out here. On one hand, it's the second largest economy in the world, China, and on the other hand, the 13th largest economy in the world, Australia. And thankfully, this report has clearly shown that Australia and China are trying to rebuild ties after a period of strained relations. And for sake of context, these diplomatic ties actually hit a low in 2020 after Canberra, which happens to be the capital of Australia, just so you know, called for an independent investigation into the origin of COVID-19. In other words, indicting China. You get it? And of course, China responded by imposing tariffs on several Australian commodities, which, according to the story, most of them have been lifted already. But then, it clearly brings few things to mind. Now, this is all about cybersecurity in the first hand anyway. How and what is the situation right here in Nigeria? How functional or otherwise is our cybersecurity in Nigeria? It's not just about getting cybersecurity levy. How sure are we that Nigerians actually have worth for their monies, especially when it comes to surfing the internet and all of that? But then, those data are not readily available, obviously, to Nigerians to know. So we move on. Other stories making the rounds, and this particular story is steal from China. And it says a new cooking oil scandal has erupted in China about a decade after the country's infamous crackdown on restaurants reusing gutter oil and sewage grease. Now, this follows a bombshell investigation by a state media outlet which found multiple cases of tank trucks transporting edible cooking oil immediately after delivering chemicals used for cold to liquid processing. The report's author Han Futao found that none of the tank interiors were cleaned between the loads. Furthermore, Han described one case in which a tank truck in a certain province, Hebei province, delivered chemicals in a certain location before rushing to another location days later to be filled with soya bean oil. Now, several truck drivers say the practice was a widespread cost-saving measure used by firms with thousands of trucks, which is an open secret in the industry. Now, this is sickening, pretty sickening as far as I'm concerned. I mean, let's start there. This is a sad development where clearly it shows that quite a number of things need to be done in that aspect, because this is seeing businessmen who would rather cut cost to maximize profits at the expense of the lives of people. Now, this is no different from quite a number of a lot of social economic issues, but definitely in Nigeria, where leaders look away and the people get further plunged into poverty. Now, that story records a particular case in which a tank truck delivered chemicals to a certain location before rushing to another location days later to be filled with soya bean oil. Now, this oil will be turned into containers or used in cooking, and people will eat it. And then they say it is an open secret. A sad development, really, it is a sad development. And well, this will be the size of the package right here on Global Business, right here on the Afia Business Morning. And just so you know, very quickly, you could be part of this conversation or more by visiting our new YouTube channel by typing, of course, www.youtube.com/@Afia Business. And while you're there, do well to like and, of course, subscribe for notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. And well, coming up next will be a conversation which will seek to take care of quite a number of issues with reference to the power industry in Nigeria. So, Afia Business Morning, we'll be right back after now. My name is Ubong Kings. Stay tuned.